I like videotaping.
You like videotaping?
I like when I see myself on TV.
How come you like it so much?
Because I can see how I look rather than looking in just a mirror. And I have to get something like that. I can see it in a tape. That's my favorite part about watching me on TV.
I started out thinking this would be a simple video diary about my daughter Lucy. But something else came along. Everywhere I went, I kept hearing about this great new thing called the World Wide Web. It's going to change the way we get information, they said. Change the way we relate to each other. It's going to change everything. I was halfway between college graduation and retirement. I was ready for a change. And so from the comfort of my New York City apartment, I began to travel the world and invite myself into the homes of total strangers. I don't know why I'm so drawn to these people or what it is I'm looking for. But I figure I'll find out if I just keep searching.
How do you go about finding a really good homepage? There seems to be no kind of search mechanism for it.
Where would you like to sit?
Oh, how about right down there?
Finding homepages. Well, like pretty much everything on the web, I think, at the moment. It's, you know, there's 4,000 new sites being added a day, and there's X million sites out there, and there's no really powerful index that, you know, it's not like TV Guide that tells you what's on and what's happening and what's going on, and it's transparent. So, you know, it's kind of hit and miss and word of mouth, and obviously there's directories that are becoming pretty much the...
After a while, Judy steers me to journalist John Seabrook, who's writing a book about his experiences on the web.
What does it say about us that so many people are putting up personal homepages?
I think it says that we're a pretty celebrity-oriented culture. I mean, I think it means, you know, it's like, you know, you exist if you're on television. It's not only about that, but there's definitely, you know, it's like your 15 minutes of fame type thing, right? Except it can last forever in sort of asynchronous time of the net.
But you must have seen something that's really impressed you, right?
But I don't know if you're planning on talking to this guy, Justin Hall. You should talk to him. He's great.
Well, he goes to, my stepson goes to Swarthmore. He knows him quite well.
Oh, yeah,
So
you should interview him. He's great. And he's really done it all on the web. And he is a cyberstar.
I learned that Justin is a web pioneer whose site attracts over 7,000 daily readers, and whose writing style has been favorably compared to Kerouac and Ginsberg. I decide if Justin's creating some kind of 90s online version of On the Road, I want to go along for the ride.
Have a sip?
Do it. Sip on. So what made you decide to take this trip, Doug?
Following Justin's links.
Yeah, right.
From the underground to the overground.
You first arrive at my site. You get my daily diary entry. I like to think it's like, taking somebody and just hurling them out into the woods. Here's the woods of Justin. Here's, all the family pages. Swarthmore, Hotwired, San Francisco, Jail, Cyberganic, Howard Rheingold, Web, Music, Spirit, Dreams, Food, Painting, Speaking. This right here is the most hit resonant part of my page. This is the story of my relationship with this woman, which is it's a mother. It's a doozy. I wrote 88 poems about her while we went out, and then I thought, I'll publish a little booklet of like all the poems, and I'll give it to her and me and her mother. I don't know, whatever. I'll do something with these poems collected, and then I thought, well, I'll just put them up on the web and link between them.
I don't know, I keep trying to imagine it from the user perspective. I think I'd be kind of just so weirded out that someone would put this much of themselves online. Every once in a while I'll step back and say, you said what? But...
Well, does anybody accuse you of just like seeking attention?
Exhibitionism, yeah.
You haven't even seen Justin's homepage, so.
I went on it once real quick. After I first spoke to you about it, I think. But I'm not a net person, so I was pretty not interested in it, I guess.
Before he was just kind of like a hippie, like kind of computer type guy, and now he's like, he's kind of got this guru like thing going with with his hair up and his funky clothes and stuff like that. So it's like, it's kind of an interesting sight, at least to be watching.
But it's fun to have around.
Watching him walk around.
I'm glad he's here. I love Justin. He's so nice.
Generally liked? I don't know. I think maybe to some extent people are suspicious of him. In the sense that putting people up on the web.
What did Justin say about you guys?
No, it's just like as roommates, everything gets revealed. Everything about us. He reveals it on the web. He puts it up and exposes our personal lives to the world.
People don't like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I catch myself, I realize I don't even talk to my friends that much about what's going on in my life. It's like, really, the web is my outlet. I went through 9 years of psychotherapy. I really have a lot of experience talking about myself, largely with myself.
I'm not sure I can speak to that exact term boyfriend. With Justin, things are really fluid all the time. But in terms of being intimate with Justin, it is a problem, and because anybody can read about it on the page, and if he uses your name, then it's obvious. And so I think, many women on this campus have had difficulty with that because he exposes every aspect of the relationship. And
including your sex life?
Sure, there's graphic explanations and detailed summaries of what happens in his life. And if you want to keep it from somebody, if there's somebody else you're involved with, I can see how that would be a mess.
Is that what happened in your case?
A bit.
In my struggle to figure out how it impacts my life and my social relations and stuff, I come across like Truman Capote, I guess, wrote about Breakfast at Tiffany's. I don't know whether that was a particular novel that pissed people off, but just as kind of his profiles of New York socialite life really alienated his friends. Like, they were like, fuck you, man. You're, laying us out there, and we really don't appreciate that, and you're a dick. And he said, well, I'm a writer. What did you expect?
So I guess I should just keep following his web pages to see if sex happens with you guys, huh?
I suppose. Yeah.
Pretty odd notion.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm reading his page, 5 times a week. Like, what did he say about me this week? What should I be aware of this?
What did he say about you?
he's focused on. I do a lot of varied activities on campus, and so he's presented me as sort of this picture of mania of, going after one thing and then abandoning it, and going after another thing and abandoning it. And I don't think that that's who I am on the surface. But since he knows me, I've been kind of disappointed that he hasn't made his description of me a little more rich. And I haven't read up on This Weekend, so who knows what he said.
Should we look?
Yeah, we could access it. Oh, he's not gonna do anything until he gets back. Thank you, Corey. You're very welcome.
I had this friend of mine, Claire, and I just called her up and said, "Why don't we take some pictures and see what they look like, and if they look good, I'll just put them up on the site." I mean, for me, it was a way of pushing my own boundaries because, do I fear being naked? Do I fear my body? Well, okay, let me put my nuts on the line.
So what is private? Anything? In the public sense.
Well, like what other people want to be public. I mean, private or whatever.
As far as you go, there's nothing that.
Well, like my biggest secret. There was I used to have like one secret. Like I didn't tell anybody. And the other day I put it up on the net, so that was it.
How was it?
It was that when I was like 14 or 15, I was like I could put my legs behind my head, and I figured out I could fillet myself. But not very well.
I just find it really interesting. I hadn't actually thought of when we first started doing this. It first dawned on me that you were writing up people who, in your dorm, on your campus, who you interact with. I don't know why, but it didn't occur to me that you'd be writing up about this documentary guy following you around with a camera. So I was a little taken aback at that, and I guess I have to learn to live with reaping what I've sown. Well,
I know that you heard about me because I'm a loudmouth, so you have to assume that I would talk about you.
There you are, that's more comfortable.
You know what I'm saying? You have to, I talk a lot about my life.
And I don't talk about my life. That's why I'm behind the camera.
You mentioned something about midlife crisis.
Oh no. I didn't say that.
How old are you?
43.
How's it feel?
What is your understanding of the web?
My understanding of the web. Boy, I didn't know this was a test. Can I refresh my notes when I took the little lesson on what the web is? Well, first of all, is the web. I use the web synonymously with the internet, and it's this vast universe of highways connecting all the people who participate in the web. So it's reaching out to everybody else who's online.
All these adults seem so, it seems so hard for them to use a computer, but you just kind of take to it really naturally, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know how to get into stuff. America Online, let's see, Netscape.
Well, how do you see computers changing your life?
I don't know. Now it seems like I love computers more than television.
one philosophy prof here, I went up to him to ask him to support my major or support my class, support some of my efforts here institutionally, you know, that I was having a problem because I couldn't pick a department in the school, you know. I'm just doing all these things that are all from these, it's a combination of art and writing and religion and this and that and computer science. And he said, you know what, Justin? You're like, you know, your class sounds like the internet, you know, it's all connections and no grounding. You know what? And then after like another half an hour of rambling, he's like, you know, I think you're like the internet. I think you're all connections and no grounding. And so sometimes I think, I really am. I'm like the physical embodiment of the internet. This is it. Like, this is the moment where, like, you know, I'm just I mean, but where do I go from there?
You know what's cool about New York is it always smells like pot. People like smoke it walking down the street. Like this hood. The hood is where my home is. Want some crack, Doug?
How did you come to be the goddess of the web?
Basically, I started publishing these floppy disks called Electronic Hollywood. And so I had this like disc magazine, but I had to like be a desktop publisher and make like jewelry catalogs to pay the rent. So life kind of sucked. But what happened was this Billy Idol dude, you know, he's like a rock star, or he was one. He like went into a bookstore and he bought a disc and like took it back to his house in Hollywood Hills and was like, wow, this is really neat. I've got to have one of these with my new album. And his people called my people and we arranged a deal and that became the first IPK. It was like this disc that went out with Cyberpunk. You know, the first floppy disc that went out with a CD. First and last. Bare feet here, California girl. Oh, we get to the third round? Yes, and we're back up. Off the skateboard, back to connect to the web. Open PPP, will it work? Watch. And then it won't work again. All right. Want me to tell some jokes?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, wait. What do you get when you cross a Jewish girl and a Macintosh computer?
What?
A system that never goes down. All right, you don't like it. Look at that, it worked. Look, Wired. See Wired? That was cool, huh? Basically, I'm in here alone, which isn't too exciting because it's supposed to be an online chat environment. But I had a strange experience last night with my boyfriend where, you know, we kind of got in a fight the other day because, like, I put this picture of him up on the web. Needless to say, he got really, really mad, and so he like wasn't talking to me, and we got in a big fight, and then I couldn't like tell him certain things on the phone because I just don't feel comfortable saying stuff sometimes, but I feel way more comfortable often typing stuff. So like we met in the taco bar in my Malice Palace. It was like, here we have these like stupid happy faces representing us, and I can like tell him that I really care about him, and I don't have to like worry if a nervous smile is going to cross my face, you know? At the very end, I moved my stupid little avatar and gave him like a kiss, you know, and it was so stupid, you know, it was just so lame, but like, it was real, you know?
Do I fool around with people? Because when I fool around with people, I kind of drag them into often heavier shit than they seem to be prepared to handle. Like So they fool around with me, and all of a sudden they're like fodder for my sort of cosmic grist mill that I'm running on the net. And God, I'm sorry, you know, but like that's the way I do things. And so is that, is it karmically good for me to drag other people into that? I don't know. This sheet showed up in the middle stall of the top floor women's bathroom in the science library. One woman posed this question up here, which was, what does everyone think of Justin Hall? And then she sort of wrote these 5 subtopics: cult personality, megalomaniac, genius, entrepreneur, weirdo. And Justin has never been breastfed. I'm not suggesting that is the sole cause of his extroverted behavior, but to me I sense it as an underlying explanation for his search for attention.
I don't know. I think it's just sort of, it's kind of what the web is there for, is that kind of experimentation and play. And, you know, I suppose...
But how would you feel if you were going out with someone like Justin, who was doing stuff like that, and you actually had
I'd censor him.
But I mean, if you had no control, I mean,
right.
You know,
yeah, no.
you would
That's a
object
good
to
question.
showing up on the...
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
Depends on how the
Depends on how it's
performance was
going.
evaluated.
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, we're having fantastic sex and he wants to tell everyone about it,
Okay.
then...
All right.
And does it bother you that, you know, some people on campus here just think you're a real asshole?
Well, it's interesting the way I can write about someone on the net, and that becomes, you know, people are like, yeah, you wrote about me on the net, thus and such, and that really is a problem. But then what ends up happening is that we talk about things that we weren't talking about in person.
Why can't you just talk about them in person?
Well, I don't know. I mean, why can't you always talk to people? You know, why do we have affairs?
Oh, man.
So my mom is not amused with the mushroom narrative. I'm not amused with the Boston Consulting Group. Yeah.
Well, you know.
Stephanie wrote me, and she's like, you know, your writing, your characterization of me is that, or our interaction is this or that, was troubling. And I said, well, write a response to me, put it on the net, it'll be great. We could hook it up and it'll be a dialogue, and it would be great for traffic and great for, you know, just testing how these things work. She wasn't so into it, but I imagine someday I'd like to do that. And I guess it would be kind of like a soap opera. You wronged me, no, I love you, rah, you know, back and forth interact, just because there's 2 people and not sort of one person just pontificating. But I think that'd be a really useful exercise, is to care, you know, to allow people the kind of insight into a relationship that would come by 2 people sort of elucidating their impressions in a public forum.
What's with the getup? I mean, what's with what you wear? I mean, it's an extension of what you're doing with the web page in a way.
Not that consciously. This, I get dressed up every time I have class. Every time I teach the class, I try and put on it.
No, but I mean with the hair and with the, you know, psychedelic clothes. Is another Justin screaming for attention?
Because he wasn't breastfed.
See how the cursor changes?
Yeah.
Click with your command key down and you'll get to the next page. And every 5 minutes it takes a picture and puts it onto the web.
What for?
Just as sort of like a project. We had the camera, had a lot of internet connectivity, so we decided to put it up. We've had 57,000 people visiting the room so far. And these are me and my roommates. And you can enter our room and walk further in.
Why would anybody want to enter your room?
I think a lot of, when I surf the web, I like to see like what real people are doing. I mean, people love to see what's going on in real people's lives, and this is like as real as you can get. I mean, this is like the real world of the web, you know.
having video, man, I can't imagine, like, it's bad enough that I write about my life. I can't imagine wanting to tape it. When would you ever stop that?
So where'd you guys learn about ethics in the web anyway?
Ethics. That's so. I learned ethics from Justin Hall. Oh my God! Get that guy a straight jacket.
So, log in. Go for it. Cowboy.
Log in.
Cowboy.
I know. What do you mean log in? How do I end? Hey, you're way ahead of me.
Click on the old Netscape window there. Try make it look spiffy down towards the bottom.
Make it look spiffy. Wow! Son of a gun. I'm on the web.
Stuyvesant Town is a 35-building architectural unit of 12 and 13-story structures. What is it like to live in this park-like community, in these modern apartments? Well, let's see.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully we're all on the same page here, but...
Well, tell us which page that is.
Thank you, Lucy.
Well, I think you're going to have to force a little bit stronger discipline here, dear.
Okay.
On the bird.
Now in the presence of loved ones and friends, before us the emblems of festive rejoicing, we gather for our sacred celebration. With the household of Israel, our elders and young ones, linking and bonding the past with the future, we heed once again the divine call to service.
Justin has like a mission to go teach all these people, okay? You know, that's the whole purpose that he's doing this. And if he's trying to reach all these people and not just like, you know...
Alright, okay, I'm...
You know, wealthy, like, eccentrics, then maybe he should cut his hair.
Oh.
I'm just coming from my, you know, from knowing a lot of people that would probably be ready to write you off. And maybe it would just take a little bit longer. But maybe you're doing a mission and teaching them that, look, even us weirdos are nice.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted
So it could
mission.
be, it could go either way.
Dad, how old is that?
December 12th, 1995.
Look at this, sex on the net. This life is fraught with these moments.
Decision. Why don't you talk to Doug's camera for a while? And I'll go with that.
Certainly generates a lot of paper, this college stuff. A 10 gigabyte hard drive could hold everything I just packed in all these boxes. Now, I mean, you know, you lose some of the joy, the tangibility of like the book or the CD or whatever, but like, the hell with tangibility. I want like portability. This is totally grody.
Oh my god.
Where'd it go? Yeah, the problem is that he's totally hard.
So Denise, I haven't asked you how you feel about being written up on Justin's pages.
How do I feel? Well, there was a lot of rumors going on in the school that I was this type of person, and like the image that he portrayed on his webpage was that type of image that people thought of me, and that wasn't the real me. So the picture was the thing that most upset me, but the writing was favorable, and I really liked that a lot, and he linked me to other things, and that was cool. And he writes about me a lot in his daily journals, and that's really cool. But the picture, it still bothers me, and I'd still tell him, but he doesn't seem to take it down. Well, maybe he will someday, but he thinks it's good for me now that I have it up there. So I don't know what else to say. I'm going to help him pack up his stuff because He really needs it. He really can't do it himself. I guess he doesn't know how. He needs a mom.
Just have these intense, like 2-week relationships with people, and then have another intense 2-week relationship with someone else. Which is frustrating for some people, and frustrating for me sometimes, because you turn around and you need, like, there's a time when you need someone to help you pack.
Have you figured it out psychologically? You talk about that. I mean, you know, have you?
Well, I mean, just like, you know, for one thing, I had you know, an alcoholic in my household when I was growing up. My father, and that's kind of an intensely erratic force. So that's one of my primary supposedly stabilizing relationships that actually is not so stable. And then, given that, I was raised by a series of nannies, primarily my waking hours or whatever, like home time was spent with nannies that, you know, would cycle through every, you know, 3 or 4 years or 2 or 3 years. Like, I had to get used to people leaving, being abrupt, you know, having a life beyond me or whatever, not being there for the long-term, long-haul commitment. And so I just sort of had to say, okay, you know, gotta, you know, be self-sustaining in many ways. In these kinds of ways, you have to recognize that these things are transitory and appreciate people while they're there, but be ready to, you know, like someone else that'll be in the house or something later on. Not a lot of, I mean, neither one of my parents was an enormously present force or whatnot. I mean, so. And my brother, who was the only present force, used to beat up on me something fierce. So it all, I mean, I would rib him too, but I mean, it makes sense to me. You would just learn to have different kind, you know, you would learn to milk a relationship, and then so that you were ready for another one or something. Because that person was going to leave anyway. Less friendly people, grimier surroundings, days without showers, so much still close.
Like I said, this is not my cup of tea, video.
Yes.
Video stuff. I'm used to having it done, or you know,
especially this style of where it's probed in the nose.
Yeah, right.
Right up to the nose.
Oh, is that what you meant when you said he was just poking you in the nose like that?
Okay, we'll put another print through.
So what are you doing here? What is this?
This is the family layout. This is grandparents. This is mother and father. This is our generation. This is you, and this is your kids. So we're flowing across.
So this is all tabbed by hand, meticulously by hand here?
This is all tabbed by hand.
Aren't there programs for things like this, or?
Yes, there are programs, but they're very complicated. But this isn't bad to do.
It's sort of like doing it the hard way, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it takes some time to get things to line up, but there are tricks to it.
So what does Mom think of your little computer habit?
She thinks I am getting into intensely, spending too much time on it. But on rainy days, it's a wonderful way to work.
How late into the night do you work on it?
Never into the night, only in the afternoons.
I mean, when we brought up the idea of getting a better computer, or one that he would hook up online and be able to get to, you know,
yes, dear,
communicate.
We discussed that, this business of online, I don't think it's for him. Because he's not that comfortable writing, to tell you the truth. And, you know, that's what you have to do. You have to really essentially, like, write a letter, right? when you get online?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be as long as a letter.
I mean,
it can be
email.
short.
No,
yeah, email can be very short. You don't even email. You're not even curious about
What?
emailing. You're not even curious.
What do you mean not even curious about for myself?
Yeah.
No, I like to talk on the phone. Look, it's not exactly free, right? You have about a monthly charge plus extra time for the local get stuff. You know, you don't get the same kind of immediate interaction. Email, you finish what you're doing and then they respond, but there's not this immediate kind of picking up on cues and stuff and one thing leading to the other, and that's the kind of thing that I find very valuable. You know, one thing reminds you of another and you go off and running. My expertise.
I really feel like this is a wonderful blessing, wonderful power that's been given to me, and so I want to share this with as many people as I can. What's so great about the web is that I was just able to go out there and talk about what I care about, right? What I feel strongly about, and people responded to it. Because every high school's got a poet, whether it's a rich high school or a poor high school, you know? They got somebody who's into writing, who's into getting people to tell their stories. You give them access to this technology and all of a sudden they're telling stories in Israel, they're telling stories in Japan, they're telling stories to people in their town that they never would have been able to talk to. And that's, I mean, you know, that's a revolution.
We are a clubhouse model for people who are mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
So we deal with the negative and the stereotype and the stigma all the time. And so we just kind of like let that go. Because that's everybody else's opinion or someone else's opinion.
Yeah.
And we don't let that determine what we think of a person. You're younger than
So, you know, one thing we can do is have people just start making web pages, which is just typing and learning and stuff, but you have a front page that's welcome to the Breakthrough Club, and then sub areas in that, you know, maybe one folder, one directory on the thing is going to be, you know, members, and another is going to be services, and another one's going to be, I mean, in other words, you know, 3 to 5 or 7 main areas of the Breakthrough Club.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Justin, what do you think about Doug Block?
That's a great question. You know, there was a point at which I was talking to Doug Block when I talked to my mother. The thing is, he leaves these really, really, really long messages with really, really detailed instructions.
I thought it was so hot.
And even though, you know, he's videotaping me or the people I'm hosting me are kind of excited about me coming or whatever, there's something about, I guess it's like the ultimate embodiment of the whole documenting process, you know, that's kind of secondary to the primary action, and always sort of, it's like the voyeur calling you up to ask you to open your shades or something, you know.
What do you make of what I'm doing? I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking for intense melodrama on camera, that's for sure.
Maybe that's why you've stayed away from shooting me.
Maybe. Maybe.
You're not looking for intense melodrama in life.
No. No, I'm not.
so often when I have like sex or kind of sexual experiences, it's like they're never of the type, they're not often enough of the type where like we're on the same wavelength, and so it's completely pleasant, but often it's fraught with kind of anxieties or, you know, poor timing or whatever. And so it's like at that point, I'd rather be just processing, I guess, or something. Processing thought or processing the experience, or you see, because when I think about it, I think if I was writing about it, right, and publishing it, then maybe that'd be a way that I wouldn't be doing this again. Because, you know, sex when it's not working is miserable.
Now I do get death threats, you know. I mean, it runs the gamut. In other words, people are sending me money and people are like, I want to kill you or hurt you or, you know, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, if I let the fear of those people screwing me over rule me, then I'd never do anything I wouldn't be here. You know, and maybe somebody will kill me in a few years. But God, it's been so much fun, you know, to put everything out there. I don't know, so questions? Just looking for a link.
The pluck of Lord Nelson on board of the Victory, genius of Bismarck devising a plan, the humor of fielding which sounds contradictory, coolness of Patchett's about to Japan, the science of Julian, the eminent music of wit of Macaulay, who wrote of Queen Anne, pathos of Patty is rendered by Busico, style of the Bishop of Sauter and Man, a dash of the Horsey, invested of quackery, narrative powers of Dickens and Thackeray, Vicar Emmanuel, P. Cunning Peveril, Thomas Aquinas, and Dr. Sacheverell, Tupper and Tanis, and Daniel Defoe, Anthony Trollope, and Mr. Guizot. Take of these elements all that is feasible, melt them all down in a pipkin or crucible, set them to simmer and take off the scum. And a heavy dragoon is the residue.
The best kind of computer world is where it would be like a storybook, you know, because if you think about the web, right, you can like link to stuff. Imagine if all your relatives had web pages and all their relatives had web pages and like some of your dead relatives had web pages telling stories about back before you were born. I write every day about what happens to me and who I interact with and how they affect me. I even got a digital camera and I take pictures of people and I put them up and I'm talking about my life, and it's really like coming closer and closer reflecting who I am as a person. Like one way I put it is like, you know, I had this girlfriend and I used to spend so much time, you know, trying to get along with her. I wrote like 80 poems about this girl. I was totally in love with her. Man, it was like, you know, you smother someone when you try and love them that much. I mean, it's really not about that person. It's really about like you wanting to, you know, love somebody, and, you know, it's just, but like I found the web and I can sublimate the hell out of myself and I can put it all on the web and now people will respond. That's what's crazy, you know? I mean, you're here because I sublimated for 2.5 years.
Do you think I've fallen under the undue influence of Justin Hall?
I don't know. I hope not. But in my discussions with people, and I've expressed this to you, I think there may have been other people who might have been more worthy of talking to.
You'll be 21 when you're here?
No. When I'm half your age, I will be something and a half, right? Or no?
No. I tell you, your coffee always tastes so good. It has the feel of this apartment on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. It's that smell of the coffee has to accompany that. And when I say this apartment, I mean Mom's apartment, because to me I associate it more with the other apartment.
Today, I'm going to meetings in Paris, Prague, and Toledo without leaving my chair. The world is evolving and connecting at the same time. You don't even need an office. If you can think it, you can go do it in absolute full digital color.
This is really something. I'm going to be living in Marin County, which is some of the nicest real estate in America. I'm going to be living with Howard, who's one of the coolest guys I've run into in a while, and who teaches me so much. I'm gonna be living in, I'm gonna have room and board provided by, you know, it's like when you pay rent, you don't get a family, but here I get a family, you know, family comes with the rent. I love that. I love, you know, people, just being able to wake up in the morning and have witty repartee. It's awesome. I'm FTPing into Cyberganic to get down the site from Abby's. I got in all the information from Jim.
Did you call him? Because
I did. I just called him.
Okay. You want to make sure you had all the details.
Yeah.
Howard, is this a terrible time to ask you a question?
No, go ahead.
It hasn't been made clear to me what role Justin is working out with you. I mean, how he's helping you. I understand you're putting up a electronic magazine, an online magazine.
And Justin's my guru. Can't you tell by looking?
In what sense? What role is he going to be playing?
What would you say? How would you characterize it, Justin?
No, that's too easy. You answer.
See? It's my guru. I could have taken the easy way out, but no. It's making me search my soul for the answer. Well, when I met Justin, I was the executive editor of Hot Wired, which was actually the first of the commercial webzines. And there was a crew, and some of them were employees, and we conducted a nationwide search for interns. And Justin, because he had the coolest webpage, got to be an intern. Moved out to San Francisco, took a semester off school, got paid $100 a week. And we went out to dinner, I think maybe like the first day I had met Justin, or very early in it. We went to this, and he was seated next to me, and I
scammed my way in that seat.
I tried to make small talk. I said, well, what brings you here, Justin? And Justin looked at me with just a big smile on his face and said, the opportunity to work with you. And I thought, wow, boy. It's, kind of a leap. I had a very comfortable, lucrative career that I was in total control of, and I just kind of tossed that all out the window forever, and now I'm in a world that's unknown and I don't have control over, which the chances of failure are very high. And see, you gotta have a Justin around. He laughs. What does he care? He doesn't have a family to support. He doesn't have a mortgage.
Not his money.
It's not his money.
Yup. See ya.
How are you?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
What are you doing, by the way?
Well, I've just been traveling around the country on a 20-city tour of the internet where I put a notice up on my page that said, pay for my Greyhound bus ticket, let me come to your town, I'll stay in your town, I'll stay in your floor and teach people about the internet. I did that in 17 cities. I just got here 4 days ago, and I'm living with Howard and gonna work on his magazine or something for a few weeks and then go somewhere else. See ya. What about you? What are you working on?
Same old shit.
Same old shit, come on. World domination, television, cable. Nah, I'm good. Like the second shift is arriving here, and I'm like, not on board for the meeting and shit. But it's that feeling like I haven't slept enough and I haven't eaten, and so I feel real lean and mean. Especially being here, some weird power state.
What do you expect to see?
Same. It's largely the moon with craters of friendliness or something. Definitely another planet. Where's Miss Pearson?
Sorry about that. No, I'm sorry about that. What do you make of the phenomenon of the homepage and people putting up their little auto bios on the web?
It's something that became very obvious to a lot of people in the late 80s is that mainstream content is kind of bankrupt. It's like you go to movies and you're not going to see your life on screen. The whole Generation X thing, even though it's a very tired cliche now, it was a very important development because for about 20 years after the heyday of the baby boom, you would turn on the radio and the best songs that you would hear were like the Beatles and Bob Dylan. And it's not that they were bad songs, they were great songs. But young people were not seeing their own culture reflected in the mainstream culture, what was being played on the radio. Now it doesn't even matter what the mainstream culture is doing because you can cut right to people who are interested in what you're interested in and put yourself up there unedited. And unedited data is a pearl beyond price. So that's what I think the real potential of the web is. Not, sure, AT&T will come up with some fascinating implementation of Java, but personally I don't care.
I shouldn't be talking to you. I should be sitting down working on the web, and I shouldn't be sleeping on the bus. I should be whatever.
Well, what would you do if you had to support yourself out in the real world?
I'd make my web pages all the time.
This is Suck. We have 8 people now. This is the aquarium I put together in my last job. It doesn't have a fish. We keep moving around so much I can never get a fish and give it a nice home, much like myself. If I get up over there, it's probably, 30 feet to struggle over to my desk. So it's not... Commute time has been cut down to a very small number. I get to bed about 2 and I get up at 6, so I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep a day. What happens to some of the most interesting people putting together some of the most interesting content on the web is they get hired. They get hired by Paramount Interactive or Hotwired or Microsoft to put together the next corporate website. Or Suck. Or Suck. Well, Suck was a creation of me and Joey. We sold out. But Joe. When you talk to Joey, he may argue that Suck is his homepage. In a way, it is our homepage.
Suck is so hip, so right on target for the blossoming World Wide Web. That's what I always say.
How does it feel to be a cyber celeb?
Very unrewarding. We get no groupies.
Okay.
What is that, the teaser and
the logo? The logo and the comic imagery is...
When Hotwired bought us, we were certainly already a big site. It was good to cut the deal and get some sleep.
But you've gotten a little sleep, but did you get a life?
No. But I got some sleep. Sleep is good.
Freak child. God damn, you look like the Joker.
Thanks.
You've heard that already.
Take that. Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. How's it going?
I've heard that before.
No, I haven't. This is new. Totally new.
Wow.
So are you like engaged for a little while?
No, I just got done. I'm just kind of wiped out.
Yeah, what was that whole gig? You were rolling.
That was the
video projector.
Demos. We're launching channels in 2 weeks.
What channels?
Webmonkey. That's all I can tell you.
Is that the building the Rolling Stones started in?
Oh, wow, is it really? I know.
This is a new thing. This is a new project with new people doing new stuff, and I'm getting in on the ground floor as part of one of the most intense moments, the week before launch, when you're living on pizza and Jolt Cola and staying up late, hacking all the time together. That's what I'm in for.
Julie was very envious of you being on the road.
Really? Yeah, that's her thing. She Yeah, well, she did the road thing too, you know.
But she ended up back home.
Well, where am I? You always end up back home somewhere, don't you? I mean, tell me I'm wrong, please.
San Francisco isn't your home.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you gotta get this on camera, all right? So here are all his books, right? Here we have like his, I mean, you know, the virtual community, it's like a book where he's taking a pretty, you know, intense subject and taking it downtown, and but look at, he's got his kind of wacky stuff. But then, these are his first books. These are like the famous Ma Liz trilogy, where they're the love crazy nymphs of the sisterhood. Moonlight, acid orgies, and perverse sacrifices are performed in the chambers of Stella's pad. Ancient lust satires and the weird lifestyle of modern drug cultists are woven into a sensual web of sexual delight and terror. Howard Rheingold shatters the existing boundaries of sensual literature with his dynamite novelist trilogy. All right, wait, so we gotta read. I like that cranking action. Stella mused momentarily. She shaded her eyes with her hand to stare up at the hot, gleaming pile driver as it rammed its piston into the warm, gooey asphalt of the street. All right, but then, you thought that was it. War of the Gurus by Jeff.
What do you make of the privacy issues that come up when somebody puts their life?
Well, I think somebody's going to punch him in the nose, and then he will realize, you know, where his right to reveal ends. And I think that he's gotten away with a lot of stuff for a long time. And of course, every writer does that to a certain degree. I think that this enables Justin to spread the word around without having to get a book publisher to publish it. So everybody who encounters Justin has to deal with that. And I've had some privacy issues, and we've had discussions about it. I haven't had to punch him in the nose about it, but he definitely pushes the line.
And you've told him you don't want him writing up about you?
Well, there are some things I think that you don't want the world to know.
Like what?
Like what?
Isn't there a bit of exhibitionism, though, to putting the intimate details of your life online?
I think I found really early on that this medium, you know, because of the way it is, you can spill your guts completely. You can say anything you want to say about yourself, and you're saying it to a million people. It's like being in a play in front of, like, you know, a gigantic group of people, and yet you're not there. You're in your home and you're really protected. So in one way you're exposing yourself completely, but in another way you're very safe.
So what's your role here at Hotwired?
Keep all the computers working. That's pretty much it.
Mr. Fix-It?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I were just doing it by alphabetical order, I mean, initials. If we could get a different perspective on humanity, we might find out a lot of really interesting things that, because of our perspective of being one person in one body with one mind, never revealed itself. But we can use computers as a way to give ourselves a meta view of the pool, the people pool. And my hope is that something really strange happens, just to make life interesting. It really feels like cyberspace, you know, taking your physical self and kind of sticking it through the monitor, and somehow your finger comes out on the other side and hits someone in the chest. It's I just think that's so, it's cool. I mean,
Whatever happened to the concept of having good friends?
well, I mean, maybe that's my problem personally. I moved around quite a bit when I was growing up, so I never did get one of those forever good friends. Because every time I got close enough to someone to be good friends with them, we would move.
I was very affected by the link, the newspaper
The
account.
obituaries. That was 2 weeks out of my life. I got a phone call on Saturday that Andra had died, and of course the first thing you think when you get that phone call is that this is some sort of joke, and then it sinks in. So there wasn't a lot of time to reflect in that in that space. But when I came back to Minneapolis, what I had with me were all these papers I had collected, which were newspaper accounts, obituaries of what had happened. And frankly, I didn't know what to do with those. I had this stack of paper. They're not even easy to file. All my filing cabinets are for 8.5 by 11. And newspaper doesn't store, it falls apart. So I chose to scan them in and put them there. I don't know if that was a wise decision, but that's what I did.
Is it very odd for people who you've just met, who've perused your homepage, to know the such intimate details of your life?
So I put together what I thought was a homepage, which discussed me and the things I was going through at the time. And from that point, I haven't changed things much. But I certainly wouldn't do the same thing today.
Why don't you just take it down then?
It's there, and it tells a story. Stories are good.
So, you know what's coming.
What do you want to know?
How bizarre was it to read about your wife's adventures with her lover on the web every day?
Well, I guess it was bizarre. It was normal to me, I guess. It's not like I have anything to compare that situation to, I suppose. Again, for me, it was great because I knew what was going on. If she wasn't doing this thing on the web, then I wouldn't have even known where she was or what she was doing. We didn't speak to each other on the phone. We didn't call.
Did you send email to each other?
Not a lot, as I recall. I think that I sent more emails to her since, she was posting these things on the web. I wasn't doing that, so I let her know what I was doing by sending private emails to her, but her way is different. She posted publicly, and then I read it there. I got asked a question every single day. How's Julie? What's she doing? How's Julie? What's she doing? And I would say. That's all I would say, too. I would just say, read awaken.org, www.awaken.org. That was my standard answer to how's Julie doing. And it seemed, and then I would check the logs to see who was actually going and reading it. And very few people actually did, which I guess indicates that although people will ask that question, they don't really care. They don't really want to know.
I'm curious, at what point did you decide to both put up an account of what was going on between you on the web?
I don't remember we ever decided. I think it was just a given. Julie put up hers and I put up mine, and I think that was just a given. I mean, that was just part of who we were at the time. Our lives were on the web. I mean, the web was our life, and our life was the web. It was seamlessly intermeshed.
So what happened in the end?
Well, part of our dream of moving away, running away to Chicago, was that we would have lots of free time to work on our creative projects, mainly our writing. And that turned out not to be the case because, of course, we both had to hold jobs. And then at night when we came home, there was only one computer and we had to share it. And that just didn't go over too well. I just remember one night in particular, I asked her if I could use the computer for a little while, and she said, sure, fine. And she went to the kitchen to write, so I was there tapping away at the deck for a while, and then went into the kitchen to get something to drink, and she was sitting on the floor staring at a blank page, and just like, she had tears running down her cheeks because she was so frustrated because she just couldn't work on paper, and she just wanted to be on the computer. She didn't want to be sharing it. Of course, at that time, neither of us really had, well, that was her computer. I didn't really have the money to buy my own computer. And so, yeah, I felt bad.
I sort of feel, in a way, I'm back in the same place that I was when I left. And what have I got to show for it? Except for, 9 letters, incredibly powerful letters, I think, and a website. And that's when you start wondering, what's it all about? What's really there? And what does it mean? And I don't know. But we're going public soon, so I'll get some money out of it, and then maybe I can quit work and pursue this again and try to get back to the same place. I mean, that's what I want to do. I think. I feel like I'm on the shore now, and I want to jump back into the river. That's why I just totally admire what Justin's doing, because it's just, it's where I want to be.
I think it's important for us to think about why we need to use computers to build communities and why our old communities have deteriorated, and I think that technology certainly has a great deal to do with it.
Tutto un circuito che si morde la coda in questo senso, che continua e che si espande come un po' una specie di spirale in crescita così.
Excuse me, how you feel to be a guru of Howard? Howard is himself a guru,
Well, yeah, it's definitely a reciprocal relationship. I feel very fortunate. I feel blessed.
I mean, you are the master of your master. Like, in the Tibetan tradition, is the reincarnation. They are master when they are young, but in some time they...
And then they work and they get dumber, and then they have to get a new master.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah. Howard barks out orders spontaneously in his sleep. Last night, Howard, you yelled out, We'll attack at dawn! I swear to God. Oh my God. So has Jim read Patrick's?
Oh yeah.
No, he's a
What a weird notion. Did Patrick and Julie do any drugs together?
I'm sure they did. I think they write about it.
That you think they're did they tell it with any drug? Did she tell it with any sex?
A little bit, I mean...
You consider yourself a net addict?
Net addict? Do you consider yourself a reading addict?
God, that's... It's something that's over. It began and it's over. This giddy flush period or something. What about Patrick, and what does Patrick say about Jim? About you? Well, you use the phrase "another man's wife."
Well, he didn't. exactly want to talk much about it. I think he felt guilty.
What do we call the virtual community? How will you explain it to your children, to your baby in Italy?
Here in America, people move 6 or 7 times, major moves across the country. So, where do you find community? Maybe you don't find it in your neighborhood. Maybe you don't find it where you work. Look at me. I work here at home. I was brought up in Arizona. I went to school in Oregon. I lived in New York and Boston. I moved to California. Where are my roots? Where am I going to find people to build a community with? Through the computer, I can communicate with people. It's just by words on a screen, but I can communicate with people who share interests with me.
Everyone's looking for their Bobo.
What's Bobo?
Bobo is that person that makes it all okay. And that's what homepages are about. You're looking for Bobo. It's hard to say who Bobo is, or how exactly you'll find Bobo. or what Bobo is. But maybe if you put up enough about yourself on the web, Bobo will find you.
If there was a Marjorie homepage, what would be on it?
It's a really good question. But if I was writing a journal entry yesterday, yesterday for me was an exquisite day and nothing much happened at all. It was a day when after 3 really hectic days I could just slow down and just love being here, working here in this room, which I love to do, and I wasn't frantic because I had time to do the work I had to do. And I had time to go register for an exercise class and a swim class for Lucy. And I had time to go sit outside, and it was a beautiful day, and read outside for a while. And I just felt blessed. There was nothing I wanted to change in my life. I think one thing that's very different about me than you and most other people is I really am satisfied with my life now. I don't need to acquire more wealth. I don't need to acquire more fame. If I could continue being as fulfilled as I am now, I think that would keep me happy for another 40, 50 years. And I think that's very lucky to feel that way.
Many more, Dad.
Thanks for coming, honey.
My pleasure. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
So how did you talk the old man into it?
I don't talk him into anything. It's useless. I thought you knew that by now. When either I do it, I'm going to kick you right in the balls. Either I do it, and it's a fait accompli, or I don't do it and let it ride, and then it goes for years without anything happening. Mainly, what it is using the like the typewriter part of it. What's that again? The
word processing.
I guess word processing. I've used it, but only under his supervision. Because I type along and then I get all kinds of crap at the bottom and I can't get out of it and stuff. So that's another part of it. I'm not anxious for that to happen either. I could learn at the library too, I suppose. But anyway.
So you're worried that you're going to get hooked?
Oh, God, no. I don't think so.
On all this ego.
I'm not obsessive. Your father is much more obsessive than I am. I may be compulsive, but not obsessive. And I don't even think I'm that. So, anyway. But I'll tell you something. Whatever is going on, it's interesting. I think life gets more interesting and more full of possibilities as we go along, which is very nice to know.
Are you going to stay on with Minds after the launch now?
I'm beginning to think I am. I mean, I feel like things are lining up in place. I'm getting the teachers I need, the environment I need to really do some real serious like grounding and understanding of myself, and I'm really excited about it. And Electric Minds is on a T3, Doug, which is like if you take a T1, that's what all of Swarthmore shares. That's like 1 megabit per second. This is 10 megabits per second, and it's shared by like half as many or a quarter as many people as Swarthmore. I can download a full copy of Netscape in 18 seconds. I love it. It's like I'm back on the net again. It's like integrated again. Like I'm linking and surfing all the time. Like my pages are better for it.
It's hard to say when the short, happy dream of the webheads began. Beneath the grassroots community spirit of the web, however, lay the smell of cold, hard cash.
What's that smell?
It's cold, hard cash.
I'm freezing from the cold, hard cash.
It's part of Silicon Valley mythology that changing the world and getting rich are not mutually exclusive ideas. There are thousands of nerds laboring in the trenches.
Thousands of nerds laboring.
Their wrists are cracking from pounding the keyboards. Their bodies are turning to jello from all the crappy bologna sandwiches they eat for lunch.
What the fuck?
They're not poor, but it's becoming apparent that they'll never be rich. The old dreams are fading fast, replaced by cynicism and self-interest and the creeping realization that somehow the webheads have lost control of the very medium they created.
Dum dum dum. Not that, not the very control of the medium we created.
Check this out. Had my first true heart-to-heart with Julie Peterson in a year. She just quit Hotwired a day after they informed their employees of a new IPO effort. Good timing.
You know, it's pretty amazing when I look back. I mean, it was only May that I started shooting with you, I think. A lot's gone on since...
Yeah, but lots happened to you too.
How's that?
Well, you went to a conference, you got funding or not, you put up a website, you've written this journal, you've gone through crisis, you've been to San Francisco, you've been to New York, you've come to Colorado. I mean, you're schlepping your stuff all around. I mean, I don't know,
I'm just the same old guy. I haven't learned a thing.
Oh, come on, Doug. I read your journal entries.
How come you haven't accessed my web journal? Or I should have you accessed my web journal?
I think I looked at it once shortly after you got it up, but that's it. Well, we've talked about this. It's a combination of things. One is lack of time, and two, that I'm just not into, like so many other people are, sort of playing around and going to these things. So it would be a very deliberate act to access your journal. And to me, it's a little bit like looking in your morning pages, that, it's sort of your private thing. I think it's more complicated than that, but I'm not suggesting I understand all the complications of it. But I think on one level, it's respecting your privacy.
Have you ever logged on? Quite a thrill. Let's say hi to Caleb. Someone I've met through this thing. Not IRL in real life, but...
What is the thrill?
Thrill for me is just talking to some certain people. Usually Justin, Dom, Caleb, my Atlanta jazzy boy. People tell me stuff. I guess they trust me.
So what is Spacebar?
Spacebar. Spacebar is a fun chat room. It's kind of meant to be for everyone, but it's a little cliquish when you first log in and you don't know anyone and everyone's just on the upper channels and you're stuck with the newbie people and they're not interesting, and the real people you want to talk to are on the upper channels. But they're all cyberganic SF people and they're nice, but you gotta have something to get in. And my something was knowing Justin, and I sent them to the link and, well.
And your picture?
And the picture. And of course they went wild.
Does it feel good just to feel that you're a sort of a unique, provocative presence there in cyberspace?
I like it. I like the idea of it. I like that ever since I've been on this, my photo has gotten more hits off it because people just keep passing around the URL. Am I nude? No. Just naked.
Do you have to worry about your reputation in cyberspace?
Very much so. Even here. Cause they're like, you're that girl with that sexy pic, and then they're like private me with messages. So what are you wearing now? I'm like, no, it's not me. But maybe a little part of me is playing with matches, playing with fire.
It's more comfortable for you to be on the computer?
This year it has been. I've retreated to the virtual world. It's much easier to deal with than the real one.
Eventually this area is going to be Doug, what are you for Christmas or Halloween?
I'm a documentary
voyeur.
One of the interesting things about this medium that works in our favor is you're not aware of the passage of time. And I was actually for 9.5 of these 10 years did not know exactly how much of my time was sucked up by it. But when I started driving Mamie to school at 8 in the morning, I started getting up at 7:30 to do my email and conferencing. And a half an hour had gone by and I hadn't showered, shaved, or put my underwear on. And I realized, wait a minute, this just sucks a half an hour like that. So we're all going to have to select the conferences that we're going to participate in and use the forget command. That's Justin, you have a conference. You can't forget any topics in the Justin conference. If you're going to participate in X number of other conferences, you're really going to have to decide, if you want to have a presence there, which are the topics I really want to put my attention on, and follow those topics and then forget everything else.
Your Justin conference should be your first priority, and if you're under a deadline for a marked contribution, then that day you probably should be spending more than just checking in on Justin.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Do you have any fears that there's not as big a community out there as you think there is?
Yeah, sure. There's always the question of, maybe it's the same 50 people who go to all of the places online. Although there are 10,000 news groups and hundreds of mailing lists and hundreds of muds and moos. So, yeah, sure, I have the fears. I asked myself that question, and my answer is, well, there seem to be a lot of people communicating out there. But you don't know until you start. So.
Do you know what? I wrote a really long, intense, personal rant about how I thought you were trying to parent me yesterday.
Well, great. Put it on your website.
I didn't put it on my website. I exercised restraint, Howard.
Well, You must know by now about my sense of responsibility.
You know, it was summed up for me perfectly last night. I was talking to Rebecca Eisenberg, and we said, you know, there's a boss who tries to get you to do stuff is one thing, but a boss who tries to get you to do stuff because it's for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ow.
Ow, what?
Ow, that just hurts. I mean, it's, you know, like, I'm your employee. I do stuff because, you know, it benefits the company, not because, you know.
Oh, is that what you're doing here?
Well, I mean, but all the lines are blurred.
You know, you rewrite history in an astonishingly mendacious way. I have had to justify you to every single goddamn person there. Why is your buddy in here disrupting our meetings, wasting our time, and giving us his attitude, not doing anything to get us to his launch?
Yeah, but like, it wasn't like, you know, buck up Jacko, I love you, you know, you're a member of the team. It was like, you know, producer, shut up and stop being, you know, some self-serving web waxed wanker.
Thank you very much for putting it into words I didn't use, but apply.
Yeah, my complaint was that anyone who puts out such high emotional wattage has got to maintain a connection.
I didn't understand this. I mean, I have not paid my just dues. I have not wasted enough hours of my life arguing over every goddamn thing. You're a very high maintenance relationship.
Not like you, Howard.
I'm easy. You think that there's no difference between what you experience at Wired and what you're experiencing here. You're seriously stupid, and you should go back to college.
If you talk to the people left at Hotwire, it's about going to work every day. It's about bringing home a paycheck. There are still the occasional new employees who come in and with the bright eyes and bushy tails, but we're able to pound that out of them in a few weeks. Somewhere there's this notion floating about that just because people talk to other people, differences are somehow erased. And that's not the case. People disagree. They, whether or not you know what your neighbor's opinions are, that doesn't mean you'll suddenly get along. You very may well not like your neighbor's opinions. And so you've gone from this state where the web was going to offer the perfect communications medium where everyone could talk to everyone else and difference would be erased, to this fallout where, oh my God, it's not as we planned, the net isn't going to provide what we want it to provide, and it's not going to make us all rich. There's no revolution at hand. There are new technologies, but that doesn't change the nature of desire. It doesn't change the way people interact with other people.
This takes a long time. My head is full of so many things now about the web that it's hard to figure out what needs to be done.
So you work on your own home first, huh? Before
Yeah.
your homepage.
Work on my home. I've been redoing my homepage home to sort of tighten it up, bring it together to the sort of like one central mission, and then just kind of bunker down and keep pushing at it and see if anything happens. What I'm trying to build here is all the stories of my life, and sort of a process of uploading yourself into the computer. You know, after Jim and I had been married for a while, I started telling the same stories over and over again, and then I realized, you know, that was it. Those were the stories of my life, and so to put them here so that I could, you know, other people would have the opportunity to get me to know me as well as my husband does. And what does that do? You know, like, do they know me? I mean, if, you know, what what more is there to me than my little stories, and how approximate how closely can you get to know someone just by knowing everything about them. So it's sort of an experiment as well. I'm not very far along, but I'm working on it.
So it sounds like your home isn't a physical one.
No, it really isn't. It's like, where do I live? I really do live most on the net, but whatever I was doing, I think I would still, on some level, to some degree, crave, some idealized, intimate relationship. I wrestle with that still. Yeah. Kind of looks gross, doesn't it? Wow, what a trip. Which way did it go? I just got, it was like I would walk down the street, and as I was walking down the street, I'd have this thing on my head, and there would be all these people who would be, I think it went on the other way maybe, there'd be all these people, I can't remember now. There'd be all these people who are trying to figure out, who is this guy? Well, which planet is he from? Does he, does he threaten me? Can I look at him? Why did he do that? What is that? And all those looks and questions from people were really a lot to deal with.
Jennifer's hand is going to go all the way around the circle, because so when she feels my squeeze, she's going to squeeze the hand next to her, and that's going to go all around the circle. We're just going to send that impulse all around the circle.
Around the world.
Until it gets back to me and I'm going to be a happy boy. Okay? Are we on this?
Yeah.
Everybody on the boat? Yeah. All right, here we go. Electric mind. Kumbaya. Oh.
You with me?
Yeah.
How would you describe the lesson that fate intended you in meeting me and rolling through all these people?
I think I've learned, you are trying to make sense of your life, and you do it in kind of this unfiltered way. You throw out your thoughts down onto the web, and in this very kind of raw, unfiltered way. I'm the opposite. I'm too filtered, and what you taught me was to let go of that.
Wow, you should start hanging out on Spacebar. Can you type fast?
Well, no, I'm not gonna. I have nothing to say to you guys on Spacebar. I I don't know anything. I don't get the thing, chat rooms, and stuff like that. I don't, It's like I have friends. We
You know
talk
what,
about
Doug?
things.
You won't get chat rooms. You won't get chat rooms for the first 10 minutes you're in chat room. You won't get chat rooms for the first 25 minutes you're in chat room. But by the third hour of the first day you've been in your chat room, you'll begin to get it.
And Justin, if I'm in the chat room for 3 hours, please take me out and shoot me.
Tails in the head. Dispersal. It is worthwhile crossing great rivers in the sense that something is accomplished by going along with the flow. It's crossing the river, going along with the flow. When traveling over water symbolizes dispersal. Kings of yore set up shrines to honor God. Kerwham. So, how should I consider the coming year is? Fidelity. Fidelity is very successful, beneficial if correct. If you deny what is right, you are mistaken and will not benefit from going anywhere. Kerwham. If you have not plowed for the harvest and have not prepared new fields, then it is profitable to have somewhere to go. Wow, Wu Wang indicates great progress and success, while there will be advantage in being firm and correct. If it's subject and it will not be.
We often joke when we see a movie that the character has changed, and he's a more evolved person at the end of the film. Do you think I've changed? Have I evolved?
You've definitely changed. And I think you've definitely evolved. I very much see us as still in process.
How have I changed? For the better?
Yeah. Yeah, you're more here and with us than you were at the beginning of this project. I think you have come home. I believe you want to be home.
You want me home more?
Yes. I want you to want to be here.
Your parents are quite strange.
Yes, they are.
Yes, we are.
And then take out the colon there.
See you.
See you.
See you tonight.